Hey y'all, it's y'all favorite cozy girl, Chi the Reality Queen, and I am back again with another episode of Robe Chronicles. Tonight we're going to be talking about Real Housewives of Potomac, Season 8, Episode 17. I thought it was the season finale, but they ended this episode with a to be continued. And honestly, why are we dragging it? I think we were done with this episode. We didn't need to drag it. I'd also like to apologize. I'm a little greasy today again. I think I mentioned it before. I'm trying new facial stuff. And so this one has me a little shiny. Hopefully my skin gets a little clearer. So, yes. Um yeah, this episode starts off with Wendy talking to her um producer about her being nervous about her pilot episode of her Wendy show on YouTube. Then we go to Karen at the cardiologist and she's getting good news. And then we go to Ashley and Giselle who are getting ready for the GNA runway show. As you can see, so many things just happened so quickly at the beginning. Like I feel like this episode, they was running through stuff. Like we spent like 4 episodes in Austin, Texas, fighting over Wendy's mom being a witch, but we ran through like so much content in episode 17. Like y'all are crazy town. Um, then we go to NECA and she and Ike are going to get the IUI and yeah, to get inseminated. The situation isn't like, hold on, the situation is funny, but the actual thing that's happening is, serious. But basically she's over there getting ready to go get inseminated and Ike has to, produce semen. And so they have to go into the little bathroom and get it done. And honestly, it was very awkward. They show all the cameramen just kind of standing around. She's still mic'd up. I think they only turned it off for the real part. It was just a lot. Honestly, I think that should have been a bigger focal point for NECA than any of that Wendy beef. Like that beef was so stupid. Had they started her with this story of like her champagne, her plan to try and get pregnant, I think NECA would have come in much better. But I think now it's too late and I don't think she deserves a season 2. I know a lot of people say like, oh, she didn't get a good start, but that's the producer's fault. If they wanted her around, they should have gave her a better start. Um, then we have Mia and G showing up at therapy and they're talking about like getting a divorce. And Mia is talking about how G became so difficult to live with because he became combative with everybody. And okay, now I believe that because G didn't deny it. But, it's just crazy because G is just so calm and collected in these meetings. And I'm just like, he's based on what Mia is saying, he is like way more crazy than like what we're seeing. Like she said that he was combative with her, the children, his business partners, and because of her childhood where everything was kind of combative, she didn't want to be in that type of situation. And she even went in the confessional and said that like the first time she went to see a divorce attorney, freaking G emptied her bank account to zero, like $0 and 0 cents. So she had nothing to leave him with. He was like, "You're not leaving me." And I, it doesn't surprise me because when they were doing lunch that one day and she said, "Oh, like if you and I were to get a divorce," he's like, "No, that wouldn't happen. We would come to an arrangement of sorts to like make sure that it would work out." But I'm just like, oh, G thought he married Mia and that was the end all be all. I don't know what agreement they came to when they were dating or when she took him from his wife, right? But whatever it was, he thought, girl, this is through and through. Like there is no end date for this until one of us is dead, is the end date. Till death do us part. G meant that. Mia was like, not so much, boo. um, But yeah, then we see Candace and oh, I forgot before I go there, she was talking about how G is not romantic, and he was saying that she's not romantic. Like, he's like, they have two different types of romance. And I was like, let's get into that because what do you mean? What type of romance does she want? And what type of romance do you want? Because based on the little bit he started to get into, it was like his romance is sex and she just wants somebody who's caring. And I'm like, yeah, those are very different needs. But, anyways, then we get to Candace and her therapist comes over. And Dr. Can, apparently, he looked very different from the season where she met with him with her mom. And she was talking to him about what she really wants and the IVF process, and that her health scare had her putting it off and all this and that. And so he was asking her what she really wants. And she's like, oh, I want a baby. And she starts crying about it. And honestly, Candace, like, I'm not saying she doesn't want it, but much like when you were talking about Ashley drinking and you're like, do you want a Rona or do you want a baby? Is kind of the same thing. Like, do you want a career or do you want a baby? It's like you want the baby, so you're gonna have to put some things on pause to make sure that you can have it. And like, not saying that you can't be a musician and have a baby, because I think we've seen many people do it, but you have to decide how you want to show up for yourself and how you want to show up for your family. I think that Candace is having a double mind because it's finally starting to take off, but it's like you got to make a choice and everything can be done. I've seen it done. But the truth is, I don't think she wants a baby that bad, right? Like, I think she wants a baby, and the idea of a baby is great. But actually having a baby that would stop what she's doing and limit what she could do for a certain amount of time, I don't think she wants that. I mean, I don't know if she's having trouble conceiving or anything like that. And if that's the case, then, obviously anything can happen. But if it's just, I want a baby, but I don't know if I should stop what I'm doing and like the ripping and running to have one, then the answer is you want your career more. And that's okay. I think people need to understand that it's okay to want to work and to want to do and reach your goals and do all that things. And then another goal could be having a kid later on. But you don't have to pick and choose. You can have both. That's why you froze your eggs, baby girl. So you don't have to rush. But if you're saying you want a kid, then do that. Right? Um, then we see Mia meets up with all the girls. Um, this was pretty interesting because I think that this whole setup, this whole thing that she's about to talk about, could have been like half an episode itself because I want to see that. Basically, she meets up with them to tell them that she met with the editor of Monarch magazine, which is, I guess, a local magazine to Potomac, to Maryland, or whatever. And he wants to do a photo shoot with the girls. And it's funny because until she said it, I did not even realize that NECA was not there. But people were like, well, what about NECA? He goes, well, you don't know NECA like that, so he don't want her. And Mia was quite honest, which is a rare quality for her. But she was like, he knows us from Potomac, the show, Real Housewives, and he doesn't know her. She's new. Like, he's not going to include her, which makes perfect sense. Like, and they show her telling NECA, and NECA took it on the chin. Shout out to her for that because, I mean, maybe that's how she took it on camera. Maybe she was upset in her home, but that's just the truth. We don't even know if you're going to make it another season and we finna put you in our magazine. Absolutely not, you know? So it was really, really cute, like how they decided to, break it down. They had Giselle as Beyonce. It's so funny because people were trying to talk, and I'm like, you may not like Giselle, but Giselle is a beautiful woman. I will never take that from that lady. She is so pretty. And so the Beyonce comparison, they have probably the same skin tone. They wear the same wig color. Like, I see it. I don't see it, but I see it. Um, Candace was Diana Ross. I thought that was pretty cool. I don't think she looks like her as much, but I think that in terms of like music and whatever, that's pretty cool. Um, Mia was Pam Grier. I'm like, okay, he's trying to make her the little sex king Pam Grier, but tough one. Ashley was Dorothy Dandridge. That was cool. Wendy was Cheryl Lee Ralph. Now, I love me Cheryl Lee Ralph. I really do. But I feel like it was such a random addition. I don't know. I don't know. It didn't seem to fit with the theme. But I guess she's an actor and she was an original dream girl, right? And so she's iconic. She is iconic in herself. I don't know why it just came off as random. Then Karen was Lena Horne. I was like, oh my God, that is perfect for her. Robin was Mariah Carey. And I'm just like, okay, okay. And then Ashley was talking like, oh, engagements like these really bring the group together. Like, no matter the beef, something like this, we can laugh, we can joke, we can have a good time. And you could see it. Like, I'm not saying Giselle was talking to Wendy or Wendy was talking to Giselle or Candace or whatever, but it's like the vibe is different when they're just together having a good time. And Ashley's correct. You put them in these situations where they can actually truly vibe, and that's what they do. Like people try to talk about like, oh, Karen's not there or Wendy's not there. Look at them having a good time. Everybody was there. NECA wasn't there. And they were having a good time, laughing and joking. Like they could have a good time. Those 8 women could have a good time together if people aren't trying to be purposely petty. That's what I think. Um, but I definitely think that this episode deserved more than this 3 minute clip with a couple of like fade to like background like videos or pictures of parts of the shoot. Like I think it's unfair to what that could have brought to the episode, like to the show. Like I said, they missed out on so many things. Then they move on to Robin going to try and find a location for her Glow 30. Okay. Is it fair? Okay, I need y'all to hear me out. Is it fair that almost every season Robin has come up with a new idea, scheme to make money, and no one is talking about her? They obviously fail. They obviously fail. They obviously aren't doing well. She was supposed to be flipping houses. She was supposed to be making hats. I still want one of them hats. I still want one of them. Okay, Robin, bring it back. She was supposed to be doing whatever, but she's always doing something and people don't talk about it. They're just like, yes, Robin, entrepreneur doing her thing. Whoop, whoop. I genuinely need someone to explain to me because here's the thing. Okay, I need someone to tell me what these women do as jobs, what their jobs are. Like, yes, they're on Real Housewives of Potomac. They film for about 3 months. What do you do for the remaining 9 months? Like, what is your job? Like, I wasn't even trying to shade Giselle last episode, but when her daughter was like, oh, I can see that you could do everything and be my mom. What does she do? Okay, now she has Reasonably Shady. Cool. She also does the show. Cool. What other job does she have? What other job does Robin have? She has Reasonably Shady. Cool. She has the show. Cool. She's trying to open up Glow 30. Cool. Ashley, what does she do? She has the show. That's it. What does Mia do? She had joint chiropractic. It's gone. So what does she do now? She has the show. Cool. Karen. Karen is a housewife. She married. So that makes sense. Karen is a housewife. Then she also has Ladom and Ladom Beauty, Cologne, whatever. That has been going since the day she said she was opening up Ladom. Karen has been selling Ladom. Okay. Wendy, she's actually a professor. We've seen her teaching her classes. Yes, they were online. That was COVID, whatever. She's a professor. She now has her talk show. She is a housewife as well. And then she has her candles and stuff like that. And then she wrote a book. Cool. Candace, she has the show. Now she has her music career. Prior to that, I know she did sell hair. But to be honest, like I need like I want somebody to like write down their occupations of some of these women. Like I really don't know what Giselle does besides reasonably shady and besides the show. I don't know what she does. Same thing for Robin. Same thing for Ashley. Same thing for Mia. I can't. No one can tell me. I mean, if you know, please share with me. I would love to know what these people do to make their money besides the show. And reasonably shady is a job. So now that's that. They have been doing that what for maybe 2 years now, or maybe 3 years exactly. But prior to that, she had Every Hue Beauty. No one ever saw that. The hats, again, I want one of them hats. I'm still disappointed that it was sold out by the time I went to go purchase. So I don't know. I just don't know what they do. And if someone knows, correct me. I don't mind being corrected. I really like to know. So tell me. Um, then Juan was there. I don't know why. Like they're trying to make Juan happen. And it's like that man cheated. He wants to cheat in peace. Stop showing him on my screen. Like he don't need to be here. We good without him. Um then Robin is like, "Oh, I'm going to call Giselle because she's having a family emergency." So she calls Giselle and she's talking to her about flying there and out. And then they go to the confessional and they're like talking to Giselle, like, okay, what is actually going on with your father? And Giselle says, we'll talk about it later. I feel like this is kind of her MO. And I understand that talking about your family being sick or having an emergency is tough. But I feel like Giselle doesn't want to do anything if it could help people see her as a real human. That is not part of her, like maybe it's not in her contract. Like she only wants to show the good, fun stuff or whatever, and she don't want to show nothing else. Like I have no idea why she is okay with always saying we'll talk about it later, not showing emotion, really just trying to keep everything like very very basic. And I think it makes her it's easier to dislike her that way. And I feel like if she was willing to be more open, I think a lot more people would like her. But as it stands, she's not very open, she's not like forthcoming with any information. So it just becomes hard to like that person because they're not relatable, right? Like people who like Giselle like her because of her little funny antics and whatever, and that's cool. But I'm saying that a lot of the people are starting to get over her because it's like, you're not really that interesting and you don't really have too much going on and you're not relatable. I think that's where it kind of stands with her. Um, but Robin explains that Giselle's dad has brain cancer. And while devastating. I don't know if that's Robin's news to share. Like, I'm sure Giselle was okay with her sharing it because I would hate to think that she's sharing anything without her okay. But I'm just saying, like, it's not for Robin to say what's going on with your family. Like, you should be talking about it. But my condolences to her family for that. It's pretty tough to lose a parent at any age, right? Like it doesn't matter if your parent is 100 years old. You don't assume that you're gonna lose a parent. Like I know it sounds crazy because it's like, yes, of course, everybody dies. You get old, things happen, but it's not something that you could still comprehend, right? It's like, yes, my father is 80 or 90, but no, my father is not supposed to get sick and my father is not supposed to pass. But that is what happens and it sucks, but it's never expected, even when it's expected, right? So that really sucks to know that the result of it after this all is that he passed away, because Giselle's dad was actually very funny on the show. I really appreciated everything he did, even when he took them around and shared his story when they were in New Orleans and his history with civil rights and working with Martin Luther King. Like that was actually pretty dope. So I really appreciate what he brought to the show and everything. So it is sad to hear that he passed. Um, but yeah, so then we moved to Wendy's pilot show. And I'm not gonna lie, that show looked amazing. And now I have to go watch it. Not saying that I didn't support it before, but I've said it before, I'll say it again. I barely have time to watch Potomac to come do these for y'all. That's why they're not consistent. Or they're consistent, but the days that they drop is not consistent. I need to be more consistent. Sorry, y'all. I will, I promise. But it's really hard. But I really do want to watch Wendy's show, and it does look amazing. She brought some really heavy hitters. She brought some people that I actually care about their opinion. So I'm excited to watch that season on YouTube. Um, I also feel like that pilot should have gotten a little bit more airtime. Like that episode, like this episode was so short and they just jam packed it with so many things that I think it would have been better if they were able to, spread it out more. Um, then they move to Ashley getting ready for the fashion show. And Giselle comes, shows up and she's like, hey, like, Ashley, thank you for stepping up where I've dropped the ball because of everything going on with my family, like with her dad. She's like, I have completely missed the mark, dropped the ball. I have not been doing what I was supposed to do. And, I'm just really appreciative of Ashley stepping up and being there for my family and like for the company, right? And it's funny because they have a designer, and I'm just like, whew, you have a designer. And I just want to know, does the designer also have bad taste? Or is he just doing what their vision was? Because, ooh, child, I would not want them to credit me as the designer of those clothes. No. Anyways, so then Karen shows up and she's really supportive of Giselle, letting her know that she's there for her or whatever. And I think that is the class act. That is a testament to the class act that Karen Huger really is. Like, F all the BS. Like, I mean, they cool this season. They don't really have no beef, but it's like Karen really is that person that says that if I care for you, if it's family, I got you. Like, that is who she is. That's who she's always been. And she's always shown the same support. That's why even when Sharice was talking and Karen was able to pull the text, like, girl, don't play with me because I do not do that about family. It makes Karen my favorite. She continuously shows why she's my favorite is because she's real about hers. And I like that. Um, Wendy showed up and she congratulated Ashley and Giselle. Giselle was very fair weather on the thanks or acknowledging. And I think it's like, how much effort can someone put into talking to someone who is just genuinely nasty to them? Like, ugh, like you just don't even rate her as anything. So it's kind of like, I get Wendy's, position. Um, Then Deborah shows up and she trying to be overly friendly, really looking like Sesame Street. She didn't that has I have never heard a more accurate description of what somebody looks like just a Muppet. Like that's what it is. Like it's actually crazy. So she was over here being overly friendly. She comes and she says hi to Wendy and hugs her. And this Wendy laughs about being fake, and having to be fake to Deborah, but that is what it is. Had Giselle done that at the beginning of last season, Wendy and her wouldn't even have no beef. Like they might not be cool, but they would absolutely be able to get along in different settings because after that slight, Wendy was like, "Oh baby, okay, if this is where we at, baby, this is where we at." But the way Wendy just hugged Deborah and was like, "Oh hey girl, how you doing?" and moved on. That is really how you can move with people you don't like. You don't have to make a big deal. You don't have to make a spectacle. You don't have to ignore them and be like, don't touch me the same way Giselle had done, which a lot of you guys like to forget. She was so rude when Wendy came over, thinking that, hey, we buried the hatchet. And now y'all want to keep having Wendy extend this olive branch to this lady who has time and time again shown her that she's a nasty individual. Like it really doesn't make any sense to me. Um, so then the fashion show starts, and my God, is it fashion? Is it? It was a mess. Every outfit, every piece, including the models, were a mess. Like every part of that show from A to Z was a mess. I didn't like the way the models was walking. Maybe it's because they felt like they had to do all that extra because of the outfits they was in. I don't. It was just ugly. And Wendy and Candace is making little jokes. Everybody's making little jokes because let's be honest. Even Karen was like, "This isn't like gym clothes. This is hoochie mama outfits." Everybody noticed, like, you're calling it athleisure, but this is more leisure than athletic. Like, nothing about this should be worn in the gym. But one thing I do love is that Wendy and Candace are talking shit. And Kiana's like, I'm not about to do this with y'all. And I love a good girly who could be like, y'all talking a little bit too much shit and I'm done. I'm not saying Wendy and, Candace don't have the right to talk shit, but I love that Kiana was like, I'm not indulging with y'all. I'm going to support this, like, and just be good. Like, I don't have to do what y'all doing. And I really think that's a good characteristic. Like, you should be able to tell your friend, like, I'm not fucking with you. I'm not doing what you doing. Um, so I think that that's cool that she's able to kind of stand her own and just have her own opinions about stuff, even though the designs were hideous. Um, and then after the show is over, Mia comes over to Candace, Kiana, Karen, and Wendy, and she tells them like, "Oh, Giselle's dad's having surgery. She's going through a lot and blah, 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 blah." And Candace is like, honestly, I'm sorry to hear that, but that's it. Like, I don't care about her. Like, it sucks that she's going through that, but like, I don't care. And Wendy was like, when my mom was in surgery and all this stuff, y'all was talking, mess about her, calling her a witch and all this and all that. And Mia was like, well, no one knew your mama was in surgery. And it's true. No one did know. So, it's a little different. But at the same time, yes, you can always have common decency. It's always fine to have common decency and be like, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. But when someone has been just so nasty to you at all times, unfortunately, I don't care about anything that's going on in your life. Like, I just don't care. And it's not that she doesn't care, it's the fact that Mia wants them to go talk to her and express their, regards and, their well wishes to Giselle. And I'm like, Giselle would never do that to them. She might do it for like Karen or other people that she's on the fence with, but she would never in a million years do that for Candace or Wendy. She is not a good person. Wendy got hit last year and she goes, I don't care because I don't like her. That's the energy she has. So to expect Wendy to have a different energy for this lady, like, Giselle is such a bad person that she's the energy Wendy is giving her is really deserved. Like, personally, I don't know if I probably wouldn't say anything either. Someone who's been that nasty to me, if something happens to your family, like, wow, sucks, but I'm sorry and I'm not happy that it happened, but I'm not going to talk to you just because that's happening. Like, no. For the sake of the show, should she probably extend condolences and, regards in that space? Yes, because we are on a show where we do have to work together, and it would just be decent of them to just express that. I see that. I'm not saying I don't see that, but at the same time, you can't really expect someone who has consistently tried to be kind and tried to expend that olive branch. Like, at some point they have to say, I don't care anymore. Like, I'm not doing that with you. I'm just not doing that with you. And yeah, that point has been reached by Wendy, so I don't really blame her. um yeah. Then Giselle leaves. She says like, oh, I have to go because my dad has surgery in the morning and what have you. um then Ashley is like, oh, are we wrapped? And she asked that, and then the camera's cut. And then we hear Deborah, because the mics aren't off, the camera's just cut. we hear Deborah approaching Candace, talking about, Candace, do you want to say something to me that you haven't been able to say to my face? And Candace is like, why is the help talking to me? Can someone please come get the help? You call this girl Sesame Street, but now you calling her the help to your face, to her face. Deborah must have an embarrassment kink because, ma'am, don't do that. Like, why would you come? You know, Candace is quick on her feet. You will never be able to read her the way she's about to read you up and down. You will never be able to do that. So why? Why do you put yourself in that position, girl? Do better. You know she about to read you for filth. And then she's like, well, you was calling me Sesame Street and blah blah blah. Then you hear Kiana, and Kiana's like, is this your friend Ashley? Like, this is not the place. Stop it. This is not the place. And if you've seen the clip, you know what happens, right? The camera is not on, but we know what happens. A drink gets thrown and a fight ensues. They do not show this. They stop it at the part where you can I believe the drink is thrown because all of a sudden commotion starts and the episode ends with to be continued. But we know what happens because someone got it on camera and Kiana beat that girl ass. Beat it like she owed her money. And if it wasn't for that other friend trying to jumping in to kind of help out, Deborah probably would have lost an eyebrow. So, girl, she been talking online like she didn't get whooped. Like, girl, shut up. Ain't nobody trying to hear from you. But yeah, they ended that episode with a little to be continued. And I am inclined to believe, I know people talk about like, oh, editing and production. And I believe that. And I believe that editing and production has an effect with how things look. But I will say, Ashley asking if the cameras are down, are they wrapped? I do think that she knew her friend was coming to confront Candace. And she probably did tell her, can you please just wait till we're wrapped before you say or do anything? I think maybe they didn't even want you know, Deborah there. I don't know. And Ashley probably said, girl, they already don't want you there. So can you please just wait till we're wrapped before you cause any problems to make sure that we good? So I do believe, I'm not saying Ashley had something to do with it, but I do believe that Ashley was aware that she wanted to do something. And I'm not saying Ashley condoned it, but I do think that Ashley was aware and she just asked her, like, okay, I can't stop you. You going to do it. Just wait till we're wrapped. That's my thoughts on it. But let me know what you guys think. What do you think? Do you think Ashley knew? Do you think this episode should have been split a little differently? They should have added like some of the stuff that was in this episode should have been in previous episodes. Like, what do you guys think? Please like, comment, subscribe, share your thoughts with me. I'd really like to know. Tell me, correct me about the jobs if you know from before. I really am curious. I'm so excited. We are finally at the season finale. The next episode will be that, even though this one should have been. I'm excited to get to the reunion to see how that, you know, closed off. The reunion looks were dropped. They look amazing. And so, yeah, I'm just excited for what's to come now that we're at the end. See you guys next time. Bye.